I just made a video talking about if you supported the losing side of the Civil War, you're a fucking idiot. And this is why I say this. Everything I'm going to say inside this video, which is going to be a lengthy video, so I'm going to probably put this in about roughly 1.5 speed so I can minimize it down, but all this information should come out the same way. This is why, realistically, the South lost, right? Didn't have the infrastructure. We learned this all inside of school, so don't act like this isn't some true information, right? No infrastructure when it came to textile, or not enough agricultural money that they were getting from other countries was not funding them at all. They didn't have the manufacturing. They did not have the most men. They did not have the most resources. That's why they lost. Period, point blank. No matter what you tell me, that's what it is. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. All this information you can look up literally inside the National Park System, because that's what I'm going to go ahead and use these numbers from. Let's go ahead and get into it. These are the Union States. Officially, these are the Union States of America during this time of the Civil War. For the Union States, it was Maine, New York, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Kansas, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, California, Nevada, and Oregon. We all know Abraham Lincoln was part of that as a whole nation, but just in this time period, it was Abraham Lincoln with all of those states. For the Confederacy, and unfortunately my state is inside of this list, it is, including at the top of the list, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia. And of course we know Jefferson Davis was their president. And then when you're talking about some of the swing states, you had Maryland, Delaware, West Virginia, Kentucky, Missouri. They were called the border states. So they didn't lean to one side or the other. But in today, I can tell you right now, from somebody who dated somebody that was part of Pennsylvania, they swung definitely the most racist state that was in there. Missouri is one of those states that also turned red out of no fucking where, but okay. As we all know, the Union walked inside of the trap, took over the trap, and that's how we're able, as my ass is able to sit here as a black man and be free today, because if not, I would have been in bondage. A lot of y'all that's gonna watch this video is gonna be like, you should have been left on the plantation. I don't give a fuck, because I'm a free man, and I can make this video with no problem. If you don't like it, you can go ahead and get off my page. Just saying. Now, let's go ahead and get into the financial part of this video, which I have literally sitting here on the National Park Service. You cannot argue this. This is exactly what they had on file and what we know. On the Union front, they had over $234 million in the bank deposit. That's coined by both money, and they also had other benefits that were inside there too. While the Confederacy, probably the most poorest I ever saw this, they only had $74 million. And of course, the border states, they had $29 million. So they were distributing their money however they wanted to help either be part of the cause or not be part of the cause. When we go by population, the population of the Union was 18.5 million people. Meanwhile, in the Confederacy, the population was listed as only 5.5 million people. That was 5.5 million free people. And it had over 3.5 million enslaved. My color. 3.5 million. And they wanted us to fight for them in place for their sons and husbands. Or have them as aides. Yeah. Helping hands. Yeah. So, and then of course in the border states they had 2.5 million. So now that you have a broad picture of basically how all of that is, as I said inside my previous video, literally the Confederate state only had 9.5 million people, and that was 9.5. As we see as the numbers being clearly here, only 5.5 million were free white people. Because they're not also talking about how Native Americans were part of this shit. They're not talking about how the Spanish were part of this shit. They're not talking about how literally those other people were involved. Because keep in mind, the Native Americans were still around. And they were getting fucked both ways because the Union and the Confederacy were fucking them out of their land. So let's not even, just get on that factor. We're just talking about the black people that were enslaved. Just saying. For the agricultural part of the nation at that time, they couldn't even feed themselves because they didn't have enough food. Okay? It literally says here, with the expectation of rice and tobacco, the Union had a clear agricultural advantage. Partially horses, the Union had twice that of the Confederacy, which was 3.4 million to the Confederacy's 1.7. Lost on the agricultural front too. The Union led corn production with 400 million compared to the 250 million in the Confederacy and 150 in Brussels in the border states. So even the border states and literally when it comes to the Confederacy themselves, still didn't even have enough resources. They lost on that front. The Confederacy produced nearly all of the nation's rice, which amounted to 2.25 million. The Confederacy led tobacco production with 225 million pounds compared to the 110 pounds that was produced by border states and 50 million pounds produced by the Union altogether. The Union led with wheat production, so bread, all of that. They led in production of that with 100 million. 35 million, the Confederacy. 20 million from the border states. The Union was attributing with over 40 million heads of livestock compared to the 35 million the Confederacy had. Losing on the cattle too. This one's my favorite part when it comes to the industry business, like textile, the ships, all of that. The Union was the first people to come up with the fucking ironclad. So therefore, what makes you think that that was just, you know, we had good forts though, I guess. The Union had 101,000 factories, with the Confederacy only having 21,000. Lost there. The Union had 1.1 million factory workers, fact, while the Confederacy only had 111,000. Lost when it came to the workers' unions. Lost when it came to people producing. The Union had 20,000 miles of railroad compared to the Confederacy's 8,000. You lost being able to logistically move your things. Let's get into the real good juicy part on this one, because I love this fact here. I'm going to use up all 10 minutes of my shit because this is ridiculous. This is the enlistment records. The enlistment strength of the Union was 2,672,341 souls, which can be broken down inside of the three lists of people that was able to serve, from white soldiers, African Americans, and Native Americans. Let's get into it. For the whites that were inside of the military, which was the largest force, 2,489,836 Caucasian folks. For the African Americans, we come in with 178,975 black men that served. And for our Native American brothers and sisters, they were 3,530 Native American troops. That's on the Union side. Enlistment strength for the Confederacy ranges, they don't even have all of the records because y'all either fuck them up or burn them. This is what happened. 750,000 to literally over 1,227,890 souls. The soldier demographics for the Confederacy are not available due to incomplete or destroyed enlistment records. Are you fucking kidding me? So everybody that claims that they pappy or they great-grandpappy fought inside the Civil War, I believe him, because guess what? Either one or two things. He has his enlistment records and service records somewhere inside of a fucking dusty-ass attic, or literally, let's go ahead and put this into perspective, he claims it with pride. He's buried inside of a Confederacy's cemetery right now. Acknowledged. I have to make a part 2 of this because I've used up literally about 7 minutes of this and I've had to cut it down. So instead of me having to deal with the editing process and all of that, this is where I'm going to leave this off right here. We're going to eventually do the civilian occupations that helped the Union win the war over the Confederacy.